Welcome back to the ACC Guys. I'm Mike, this is Steve, and we're here to do this week's picks. I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
going to be fantastic. We already had fun with the power rankings. Hope you enjoyed that part. Plenty of flame, all the fun stuff there.
of course. And we got some matchups to go over today.
Mm.
There's so many games this weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun in the ACC.
Oh, yeah, full slate for the ACC. And, not all of it's going to be on ESPN 3. So, we should be doing fine.
I will definitely have multiple TVs running in my house.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Go ahead and get your ESPN app ready because the ACC has some football going on this weekend. And all of it's going to be on TV. But we have our 12 o'clock games to start with. Not a whole lot going on there. Most of these games are games that are already decided for the most part. Could still be entertaining. We have Louisiana at Florida State, Virginia Tech at Liberty, and Duke at Pitt. So it could be a decent start for the ACC going into this week.
As far as the noon games, the games that stand out to me is Louisville. I'm sorry, Louisiana at Florida State. 24-point spread for Florida State. I like Florida State to continue their trend and win this one big. Another big blowout win for them, and they just roll easily. Virginia Tech Liberty, that's actually a confusing matchup. Liberty is favored by 9.5. So obviously Vegas is even aware that Liberty probably is the better team than Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's not a great team.
Oh yeah.
But that spread is a tough spread to take. So I'm actually taking Virginia Tech plus 9.5 on the points, and I'm taking Liberty to still win the game though, because I think Hugh Freeze he's doing a great job with that team. They are one of the best teams. They were leading the country at one point in sacks until a couple of ACC schools jumped them.
Yeah.
And one of those ACC schools that jumped them is Pitt, who leads the country in sacks now.
Yeah.
And their matchup is another new matchup that's going to be fun to watch. Duke at Pitt. That has a lot of weight in our power rankings. Those two teams have been right there beside each other,
Oh yeah.
battling up and down.
Yeah.
And
I
Duke,
mean,
Riley Leonard, he
yeah.
is their team. He's their passing. He's their rushing. He is the guy that carries them and gets them through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like watching a good running game, this is kind of the game for you. Like you got a Bandicanda on one side, you got Riley Leonard on the other, and that's going to be a fantastic matchup in my opinion for a 12 o'clock game. Yeah, there's not a whole lot on the line. Okay, North Carolina's already locked up the Coastal. Duke was never even close, anyways. Maybe for a short bit, halfway through the season, there was a thought of a possibility, but that got crushed pretty quickly. Pitt's just not there this year. So it's really good to see how these two teams are going to finish and if they can make a bit of a splash towards the end and really show what they're building into going into the next season. Virginia Tech at Liberty, I honestly believe Liberty can win the game, and I just don't. I want to believe that Virginia Tech will cover. I really do, but that's a pretty nasty Liberty defense, and this is a huge Freeze coach team. So, I I might have to. I'm going to go with you for now, but I'm really worried about taking Virginia Tech to cover because it could turn badly so quickly against Liberty. I mean, it's not the same offense you saw the year before. I mean, they lost a key component to that Liberty offense, but it's still pretty nasty defense. Like you said, they're one of the top of the nation in tackles for loss. They're one of the top of the nations for sacks. They're a good defense, and it's going to be rough for Virginia Tech. Louisiana, Florida State. Florida State's going to win it. They're what 24 point favorite. Uh, I could take Florida State to cover that. Florida State could have covered that in the past 3 games. So, and this is a Louisiana team that was, their year. This is their first year without Napier, and Napier gutted them when he left, taking as many players as he could to Florida. So I think this is the start of Florida State beating the former team and the current team of Billy Napier. Hint, hint towards next week. But Florida State's on a roll right now, and they're healthy. As long as they stay healthy in this and they stay focused and not looking the week before, which I don't think this team's gonna do. I think Orvell's got a good enough leadership there. I don't see it happening. So yeah, I'll take Florida State there, and then Duke against Pitt. I think Pitt is favored by 6.5
Seven.
or 7.5. Yeah, and that's what worries me. If it was 6.5, I go with Pitt. Give me the points. Give me the win. But I'm actually gonna have Duke cover at 7.5 and take Pitt for the win.
I mulled this one over, and I ended up going with Duke covering, and they would end up covering the 7.5. And I ended up taking Pitt winning. Uh, I just feel like Pitt at home, their defense, Abanikanda, the way he's run the ball, one of the best running backs in the country, hands down.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard does so much for this Duke team, but this is a team that's going to put pressure on him all game long. Like I said, they lead the country in sacks at 37. They
Yeah.
passed Louisville. So this is a team that will get after you. They don't stop rushing the quarterback. They're going to put the pressure on him all day. I just don't think this is going to be one of those games where he's going to pull it out. It'll be a
No.
close loss, but it's going to be a loss. I just don't think Pitt can cover. I'm not sure why they're getting that many points at home. I mean, yes, they just came off a blowout win, but I mean, Virginia just bombed 2 touchdowns in the first 15 seconds. So
Yeah, and
that's not something I could count on when it comes to the Duke game. Something like that happening again.
Yeah, and just judging off of the power rankings, Duke's just a better overall team than Virginia. They got better offense, better defense. It's not going to be that easy of a win for Pitt. I still think Pitt can win it. I just don't trust them winning it by more than one score.
Yeah. And so far, coming out of the other weekends, I were 16-8 against the spread, and 18-6 on straight picks. So honestly, just like to see the against the spread come back up a little bit. At one point, I was up to 80% picking. So
yeah,
just would like to get back up there, around 70% now. I'd like to see myself get back up to 80. It was on a little bit of a high streak.
Yeah.
I'd like to get back on that heater.
Yeah, I mean, the trick so far this year is just pick against Bear. He's having himself a go at it over on game day. So now we have our 3:30 games. I'm going to include the 2:30 game in on this, which is going to be on NBC, and that's going to be Boston College at Notre Dame. We have Coastal Carolina at Virginia, Miami at Clemson, and NC State at Louisville. This is actually going to be a pretty exciting block of games for the ACC. I don't really see Boston College doing much against Notre Dame, especially if Notre Dame can get a block punt or an interception. Probably going to win the game. What I don't trust is Notre Dame having a 19-point spread.
21.
21. Okay. Yeah. That I just don't see Notre Dame covering that. I don't even think they covered that against Clemson. So,
it would have been a push.
It would have been a push against Clemson, yeah. So I don't see it. I think Boston College's wide receivers can actually help make somewhat of a difference and keep it a somewhat like a 2-score game. But I don't see it being 3 scores or more.
I agree. Boston College, I think, will cover. They're an improved team. Moorhead's playing great right now. Yes, they have offensive line issues. Yes, it's a Notre Dame team that's just going to run, and just let you basically try and sit there and find ways to win, while their defense just gets to rest most of the game because their offense is just running the ball nonstop. I mean, this is a team that will run it all 4 downs. So go for it on 4 too. Yeah. I mean, they will sit there and literally just run the football every single play if they can.
Yeah.
And that's become the identity of the team. Hats off to Marcus Freeman. Great job of what he's done with Notre Dame. I know we don't cover Notre Dame a lot. They're a partial ACC team. Maybe we'll start bringing them in every once in a while. Since they are partial, they're not fully an ACC team in football, but they are a partial team in football.
Yeah.
And what he's done with Notre Dame, I mean, if they were a full member, I would even throw his name into the ring as Coach of the Year because, I mean, what he had to do, quick turnaround from what Brian Kelly left, is huge.
Yeah, and I mean he had a rough start. I mean, there's no way around it. Most of those losses came early on this season. I mean, you had that loss to Marshall, you had the loss to Ohio State. I think they played Ohio State well.
Yes.
And then Ohio State just became Ohio State and finished that game off strong. But it's a Notre Dame team that still has talent on it. It's still got them dudes on the offensive line, and Mark Freeman finally realized, hey, you know, we got these dudes on the offensive line. Let's just push them. Let's just get behind them
Yep.
and just crush it. So that's gonna be kind of an entertaining game. You got a team with a rushing offense that doesn't pass it a whole lot, and a team that has to pass it because they have no rushing offense. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Now you have Coastal Carolina and Virginia. It's kind of a tough week for Virginia. Um, I would like to take a moment and to say that we feel the pain of Virginia and a very horrible moment that has happened for them over this past week. Current players were killed in a senseless act of violence, and I'll be curious to see what the ACC does in to in a memoriam for them essentially this weekend. But this is definitely something that it's very tough. So it's gonna be hard to pick this game because you don't know the state of mind of the players. This is a team that's already been struggling this year, and then you add something just horrible like that into the mix. Um, it could cause them to come out and play with a little bit of heart, but I think Coastal Carolina still wins the game.
Yeah, it's only a 2 point,
Yeah,
-2 for Virginia. I have to agree with you. I feel like Coastal Carolina still wins this game. They're a good team. Virginia's going to come out emotional, and they're going to play with some heart. So they're play probably better than we've seen all year. I think Coastal Carolina is just too much of a team for them to be able to beat. But I appreciate what you had to say about Virginia. Speak on that as well. Myself, I wanted to say a few words as well because it was one of those things that when I saw what had happened, it's tragic and it has no place in college, period. And it's not just about the gun violence itself; it's more on mental health. And this is why this is something that more colleges need to focus on and more schools need to focus on. The mental health is something going on in the future that people need to focus on, even outside of college, in your workplace, different places in you find yourself in life. You're online more. You're using your mind more than ever. And the technologies and things that we have nowadays, you're constantly putting yourself out there. And so your mental is taking more of a tear than your physical in today's world. So you have to, take care of it just like people work out in a gym and take care of their body. So I feel like the movement to really work on mental health, this is another key example. Mental
yeah,
health should be something we focus on. You should know what your neighbor's like. I mean, this situation, it could have been avoided if someone just maybe had took care of someone's mental health and looked out for somebody else who might have been not doing so
yeah.
well.
Pay attention to what was going on. So heart goes out. Hopefully there'll be a lot of healing, and I have a lot of faith that the ACC as a whole, all the teams across, I have a lot of faith that they're going to do something special and recognize these young men that had their lives cut so short. Um, but we'll move on to the next game that we're going to talk about here. Miami at Clemson. This is what was it? Clemson's a 19 and a half.
Clemson is a 19-point favorite
Yeah,
on most of the betting sites. There's a couple that have them 19 out, but most of the sites have them at 19. And honestly, I don't even feel that that's enough. I don't understand how Notre Dame gets a 21-point spread, but Clemson only 19.
yeah,
This is a Miami team that, when they were good the last couple of years, they have been outscored by Clemson. I think it was 63-6 in 2 games.
yeah,
I'd have to go back and look at it, but I'm pretty sure that's close to what the points were.
yeah,
So they have been dominated where they play Clemson as of late. Now, granted, this is not as strong of a Clemson team as in those years, but at the same time, it's not as strong a Miami team as it's been in those years. I still think this game is a blowout. If you watch the last game, which I did, I watched the game from beginning to end. Yeah, Miami looked better. It's because they finally did what I've been saying, which leads me to believe if I was a Miami fan, I would worry about your coaching a little bit because I don't understand why Gaddis hasn't leaned on the run earlier for Miami. That's to me looked like something that could have saved their season earlier on. Is him just focusing on the run.
Yeah.
They have been a team that looks like yes, they've struggled throwing the ball because their pass protection is not as good this year as it has been in the
No.
past. Right now, they're looking like Florida State has the last couple of years, where we couldn't protect our quarterbacks, and that's the same thing that's going on for Miami. But yet they can run the ball well, and so that's something that I feel like they need to make that switch. And if you notice against Georgia Tech, that's pretty much all they did. They just ran the ball, ran the ball, ran the ball. They got enough passes to move the ball when they couldn't run it, and they made the plays they needed to and won the game. It was a pretty easy win for them, pretty convincing win. Defense played great, and I mean, everything falls into place when you can run the football. It makes it a lot easier to play defense when you're not on the field out there for almost the whole game.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm definitely going to take Clemson as well. I mean, that's just like you said. It's not enough. It's not enough points to scare me away. I and Miami just has not looked like a good football team all year, except for the Georgia Tech game last week. But it's Georgia Tech who also has not looked like a complete football team all year. So, and they had their flashes, mind you. But Georgia Tech has been kind of reeling a little bit over the past couple of weeks, and it just you took a beat down from Florida State. You're about to take another one from Clemson. There's just you're just not going to be able to do anything. That's a good Clemson defense, and that's a Clemson offense. They can still get it done, and their guys are going to beat you on the outside. They're going to challenge you just like every other team has. They're going to challenge your DBs to tackle, and right now, Miami's DBs they can't tackle anybody. I'll take any player one on one with one of Miami's DBs right now, and they're talented kids. I mean, there is some talent in that defensive backfield, but they're just not tackling well.
No,
So
no,
yeah,
by no means is Miami back.
no,
The U is not back, and for those Miami fans that are trying to pump your new quarterback, please slow down. Ja'Cory Brown had one start against Georgia Tech. Please give the kid more time before you start pumping him up like that. He's
yeah,
about to go into Clemson and learn what big boy football in the ACC is like, and it's not going to be fun for him.
no, it's not, and that's not a knock on his skill. I think he's a talented quarterback. I think he has a future at Miami, but I don't think quarterback has been the problem at Miami all season. I think it's been bad scheming by your coaches, and it's just been the fact that passing the ball this year, you took a huge hit when Rambo left. There's been no
Yeah,
one to step up in Rambo's place
that's true.
to make plays, and then on top of that, your offensive line's not blocking well. So what are you gonna do with it? Uh, and we're just gonna move on to the next game. We got NC State at Louisville. I'm actually interested in this game. It's a home game for Louisville. We already know they play exceptionally well at home. It's a defense that's not going to give you anything, and an offense is going to give you a lot, especially in the running game. Now, I am kind of scared about some injuries. I mean, that you got some backs that are questionable. Malik Cunningham is questionable. That could be the difference. But at the same time, this is an NC State team that is coming off a loss from Boston College that really hasn't found much of a footing offensively all year. Like even that win against Wake, it's not like their offense did that. Their defense just did to Wake what Louisville did to Wake. So I expect Louisville's defense to be in the backfield constantly to give MJ Morris a lot of issues, and that could be the difference maker. Yeah,
Yeah, I like NC State +4. I like them to cover, and I like NC State to actually win this game at Louisville. I don't think that with all the injuries, Louisville can win this game. Well,
yeah,
this is a team that they depend on the run, and it's not just Malik being out, but missing two of your best running backs. I mean, if you add all those yards up, that is probably, I would dare to estimate around 65% of the rushing offense that could be out for this game. So, I mean, that's a huge chunk of your team. And yes, this is a team that runs better at home than they do on the road. They average close to 225 yards rushing a game at home, and they're definitely a better rushing team when they're at home. The crowd gets them fired up, and they start playing great. Unfortunately, there's so many question marks with the injuries. and NC State being that good veteran group defensively, I think NC State's going to frustrate them all night, and this will be a low-scoring game. Neither team's going to look great, and it's going to come down to a late score. And I think NC State's got what it takes with MJ Moore, so I see him bouncing back this game. And he looked like a freshman last week. I think this week he bounces back against a tough Louisville team and makes the plays they need, and NC State gets a good win on the road.
Yeah, but I think where the only player I'm going to disagree with on that is I think MG Morris can play a little bit better. But I think it won't be as noticed on the field because that Louisville defense, they're going to get at you. And they rattled Sam Hartman for a reason. They were constantly on top of him. And it's hard for any quarterback to play when you got dudes on top of you constantly. No quarterback's going to play well like that. And that's going to be huge. But I will say, Malik Cunningham's the factor here. Yes, you're missing some backs, but by far, Malik Cunningham is the one that's going to get you the most rushing yards. He's really good on play action. And I still think that you have a freshman back at Louisville that can get the job done for the most part. He's questionable, and it's with his hand. It kind of makes you worry about Malik throwing it. But, if he plays in this game, I think Louisville has a chance to pull out a win. If he doesn't, then yeah, I could see NC State winning it. I think they could. But right now, I'm going to stick with Louisville because it is questionable. It's kind of early on in the week, so we won't be getting that last second like, oh no, he's good to play. But I got faith in it. I think he can at least come back and play a little bit. Just won't be able to pass as much, which could hurt what they can do offensively. And so that covers our 3:30 games. We're going to get into we have a 5:30 game and an 8 o'clock game in the ACC.
Let's go for the 5:30 first because it's gonna be a huge. No, it's not gonna be an upset. But it's Georgia Tech at North Carolina,
Yeah.
and I know that the spread on this game is what was the spread again? I do believe it was Georgia Tech is a 9.5. No, it was more than that.
North Carolina was a 10 point. Oh no, sorry,
19.
Wake's a 10 point favorite in the next game. Yeah, North Carolina was a 19.
I'm about to say I think this game is another.
There's
19.
also 19. Yeah.
There's a couple of big spread games, and this is another one. North Carolina favored by 19. Man, I don't think North Carolina with their bad defense can cover that, even against Georgia Tech. This is a Georgia Tech team that they're not great, but I mean Miami. It took a lot for them to blow them out, but they got a defense. Miami is one of the best teams in the ACC at getting after the quarterback. They're also one of the leading teams in the ACC in tackles for loss. I mean, Miami has a D line. They get after people. North Carolina's D line has been one of their biggest issues, and the rest of their defense. I mean, the best part of their team is a storm duck. I mean,
you just like it because it's an awesome name to say.
I know, but I don't even know what a storm duck is.
Quack. All right, but no, I mean, yeah, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in this Georgia Tech team right now either, in the ability to stop this North Carolina offense. I think as far as North Carolina's defense is concerned, they've made some steps in the past couple weeks. They actually played pretty decent. For North Carolina's defense, they played pretty decent against Wake Forest. Like, I was not expecting their defense. Like, this is crazy. They actually hit the under in that game.
Yeah.
No one expected that.
No.
I said it before the game was played. Wake Forest, North Carolina, expect 100 points to be scored between these two teams.
I expected the Wake defense to get some stops. I did not expect North Carolina defense to get some stops. But then again, how much of that was North Carolina's defense? And Sam Hartman's struggles.
Well, they were causing him to struggle though. They used the same playbook that NC State used, that Louisville used. I mean, people have figured out how to play Sam Hartman now.
There's a playbook there, but against Georgia Tech, there's no real playbook. They're so inconsistent.
Yeah, you don't
can't
know what
face
to go
them
the
same way, so you don't know how they're going to attack you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, honestly, I think I like that. I'm going to take Georgia Tech to cover the spread. But I'm taking North Carolina to win this game, obviously. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to pull an upset. I don't think they win the game. But then again, crazier things have happened in the ACC this year. But I would not be surprised if here we go, Boston College all over again. But
yeah, I
don't think it'll happen.
I don't think that's happening with Georgia Tech.
No.
I think our next game will probably be more of a like upset surprise than that. But yeah, no, give me North Carolina, give me the points. I'm gonna have a little bit of faith in North Carolina this time. I'm going crazy with it. I'm not actually betting that, and I don't think anyone should. Just stay away from the game.
No.
Yeah. But we're going to move on to our 8 o'clock, our primetime game on the ACC network. We have Syracuse at Wake Forest. Earlier on this season, I would have been like, man, this is a great matchup. This could be a matchup to decide the Atlantic, or at least the number 2 in the Atlantic. Not quite there. Wake's been stumbling a little bit, but they still been getting wins. But they are coming off a loss to North Carolina. Very tough one. Syracuse just took a thumping from Florida State. They've been taking thumpings over the past couple of weeks, honestly. After just a very tough loss to Clemson. Syracuse they're dealing with a lot of injuries. And I just don't see them taking anything against Wake. Like they're not going to cover. It's a 10-point cover. It's -10 for Wake.
Yeah.
So I can't take Syracuse on that. I think Wake can cover 10 easily. I just don't. I really don't see anything. But if there is a game on here that's probably going to surprise us and be a massive upset, this could be the game.
I don't know if I call it massive upset. Both teams are. If you watch our power rankings earlier in the week, both teams are reeling in the power rankings. They're both kind of stumbling around. Not that Wake Forest has dropped as far as Syracuse, but I mean Wake Forest has definitely dropped from where they were at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So I mean these are two teams that I think they were at one point they were evenly matched. Syracuse probably was the better team, but due to injuries, I don't think the Syracuse team has anything to offer for Wake. Yeah. They were just so banged up, and right now whatever's wrong with Sam Hartman, I mean that could be the only factor going in this game because, like I said, that could be the thing that doesn't let us see Georgia Tech as a possible upset because of how bad Sam Hartman's playing. It could all be on Sam Hartman and the way he's playing and his inability to get out of this rut that he's in right now. It happens. He was some of the greats in the NFL.
Yeah.
They get in a rut and they just need something to get them out. And so, if that's the case, and Syracuse attacks him the same way everybody else has been attacking him, and he continues to struggle, it could be a win for Syracuse. But I don't see Syracuse being able to keep this game close due to all their injuries. They're just so banged up on defense. Now, I feel like if this is any game, but then again, I said this last week, if there's any game that Sam Hartman could bounce back in, it's going against that horrible North Carolina defense. So now I'm going to say it again. If there's any game he can bounce back in.
Beat up Syracuse defense.
A beat up Syracuse defense.
You're just going to keep saying it until it's true. I got you. We understand that one. But, I mean, there could be something to say here, though, is Wake Forest doesn't necessarily have that big, beefy offensive line that Syracuse has been dealing with. Because Wake Forest is not going to line up with a multi-tight end set and just push them around. So I think those smaller defensive line for Syracuse, they might not struggle as bad because they still got some talent there.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple plays made by that defensive line against Florida State, not a whole lot, but they were able to make a few plays. They were able to jab in there. And I think if they can still do that, they can still get after Sam Hartman and frustrate him. That could still be a difference. If there's a game for Syracuse to bounce back and show some fight and be like, you know what, we've lost 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
It ends now. Like, this will be the game. But, I mean, I don't think it's actually going to happen.
No.
But it's, but if there was going to be an upset this weekend, looking at the slate, like an actual upset that surprises people, it would be Wake Forest. Unless Boston College wants to do a part 2.0, which I don't see that happening against Notre Dame. They're not going to be like NC State.
That is a rivalry game, so I've seen crazier things in that matchup between those two. But, I mean, honestly, you're right. There's so many factors in Notre Dame. I don't see that happening. Boston College covering to me is an upset. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, with that being said, I mean that's the matchups for this weekend. There's 9 games for us to cover. I mean, heck, in the first 2 weekends alone, yeah, the first 2 weekends I think we did 10 games in just 2 day in 2 weekends.
Yeah.
So 9 games in one weekend, that's a lot. So we got a lot to go with. Like I said, I'm 16-8 against the spread, 18-6 on straight picks.
Yeah.
So let's see where I can roll into this weekend. See if I can keep it going. I mean, right now I'm happy where I'm at. Like I said, I'm close to 80% at one point, down around 70 right now.
That's
I'll
okay.
That. That's okay.
We'll keep track of this, and I'm taking you down this week.
They're taking me down this week.
Yeah, fresh slate. We'll see who works. I'm going 9-0.
He has a better chance of the Bear beating
Picks and spreads. Picks and spreads. All right, like I said, I know what I'm talking about here. Okay, I'm your Skip to your Bayless.
Oh, Skip. Now we know he's gonna lose.
But I really do. You hope you enjoy. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at sjollyacc, or you can follow me at whom4. It's a little confusing, but you'll get it. That's
because my man over here, he actually streams video games.
Yeah. I also do a little bit of streaming, Jolster2_3 on Twitch. You can always check that out. Ask me some football questions. Tell me how wrong I am on all my takes, but that's fine because I don't actually watch college football. I'm like an SEC fan that covers ACC stuff. I don't actually know.
Fans only on here, okay?
Yeah.
We're good.
You catch me on Fans Only. Only fan. I didn't even said it wrong, messing around. But yeah, you can follow us there on there. If you're listening to us and on any of the podcasting applications, please feel free to leave a review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure it's 5 stars. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Leave us a good comment. Maybe we'll read it. Or if you have a good question, I wouldn't mind answering a few questions. Come up with some ridiculous stuff, okay? Even if I don't know the answer, I will give you the best fine bomb answer I can find.
Exactly.
So we'll be more than happy about that. And I think I've taken enough shots at different successful people
in
one night. So the fought shired on this one. So.
But as far as the definitely follow us. Yeah. Hit the like, subscribe. Continue to follow us as much as possible because we're going to continue this content rolling, and we definitely want to provide you guys with the most fun possible. But eventually, also, the big move is going to be want to really get things rolling on Twitter. We would love to see you guys come in and start hanging out in some of our spaces and just talk to us.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the big things we want to push towards, eventually getting in spaces and having a couple hundred people in there, and we just all chill together and have some fun, just talk college football. Hey, we can do it all day even. If we get enough people in there, I'll run an all-day space where we just all-day college football, just talk about football.
Or at least the 5 of you Miami fans that want to talk shit. That's I'm perfectly fine with that. You got a terrible year, I'd do the same thing.
I feel like we're gonna flood with so many Miami fans.
Yeah, right.
Ruiz is already right behind.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm about to say I've already been in conversation with Ruiz. He already bought y'all at least 1,000 seats, so we should be fine on that. But Bitcoin has been dropping, so I don't know if it's guaranteed or not. Okay, FTX just fell apart too, so we'll have to check that out. Not as strong as it used to be. But yes, please check it out. Like you said, we do spaces for primetime games. Please feel free to check us out on Twitter then. Set a reminder for it. Set a reminder on your podcast because we'll be coming out with more content. And thank you so much. And that's the ACC, guys.
That's it. Thank you guys so much.